video, I'm going to talk about assisted suicide because it's something that my father considered at some point. In September of 2013, after the diagnosis and after a few weeks, my father informs me that he doesn't want to go through this and he wants to end his life. That was, of course, a very difficult decision for him. It was very difficult for me to accept that because a part of me wants to keep my parent as long as possible. But I took on myself, I accepted it, and I did what I could to help him. So I contacted a company called Dignitas, which is based in Switzerland, because in France, assisted suicide is not permitted by law. And in Europe you have to go either to Switzerland or Belgium, maybe the Netherlands, I'm not so sure. But the most famous one is called Dignitas. So I contacted that company and they sent us a form, which is a very comprehensive, very complete form to fill in with the exact medical situation of the patient, of my father, with his wish, with letters, with information about his situation and why he wants to end his life. And I had this signed by my father as he could. He had already brought him to sign, to write. And I sent the documents. So I really helped him on this, and I sent the documents, and we waited for an answer that we got 3 months later in December, and we got a green light from Dignitas saying that they allowed him to come to Switzerland to perform an assisted suicide if he so wished. And he actually was very, very weak already in December, and he decided to stay at home for the rest of his life. And a big part of it is that when he got the diagnosis of ALS, he felt he was trapped. He felt he was in a closed road, and he had no alternatives. And because he was such a strong man, such a free man, it was very, very hard for him psychologically to accept that. So he wanted to have an option. He wanted to be again the master of his destiny and to decide of his life. That's who he was. So that's why he wanted to have that possibility. And the fact that when he got that answer, that he had the possibility and the option to go to Switzerland if he wanted to, that was a relief for him. That was a relief because he felt, I think, that he was again the master of his life, the master and commander of his life, as he had always been before. He was a very strong man. And that gave him some relief, and that gave him some peace. And fortunately, he stayed at home. He decided to stay at home and to die at home. That's what he wanted. So he passed away in January 2014. But this is something to consider very early, because as I said, it took about 3 months for us to have an answer, and within these 3 months, my father lost the capacity to speak. My father lost the capacity to write. So it can go very, very quickly, and you have to be clear about your wish and how you're going to have that respected by your family and by the medical institution, depending on where you live. Today in France, you still don't have the right to choose how you're going to end your life. I don't agree with that, but that's my personal opinion. Law is whatever it is, and there is a lot of movement right now in France to give people the right to choose about how their life is going to end, and to not have to suffer through this type of disease. So this is something to consider early on, and just look at the options and the regulations, the laws, depending on where you live, and knowing beforehand, preparing yourself, knowing what is possible to do and what is not possible.